going on, folks? Welcome back to We the Champs. I almost squeaked on that one. But what's good? Hope y'all had a good Super Bowl weekend. What's up, Uncle D? You good?
What up, you?
Yes, sir.
Man. You know,
All right.
another Super Bowl down. Same results.
Same results, right? But guys, again, welcome to We the Champs, the finest sports show on the turf, on the court, in the swimming pool, on the mats, wherever you can find your sports. I'm your host, Jalen. This is our co-host for the evening, Uncle D. And let's get into the mix. But before we do that, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and share. And share us your thoughts in the comments or whatever, or however you get in contact with us, Instagram and all that. But let's get into some football talk. So the Super Bowl was yesterday. And what was the final score of this game? I think I called it 27-24. What was the final score? It was...
Man, you trying to copy exactly what you said or what?
Because I was
right.
That wasn't it. I was close. I know I was close.
Why can't I find the score again? It's weird.
It's all good. But it ended up like how we thought it was.
22-25.
22-25. Okay. Yeah, so the Chiefs won that one 22-25 on a game-winning touchdown. I saw it. Like when that play was happening, I just knew they were going to go out. He was going to throw it to somebody on the right. Or I was thinking Travis Kelce was going to be somewhere in the middle. He was going to throw it across or whatever. But classic Andy Reid drawing up the perfect play in the perfect moment to execute, and they executed, and it just happens.
Hey, man, what do you think about the 49ers electing to take the ball first?
So
that was a weird thing not to defer.
I hear that. However, I think us like people trying to bag on that. Oh, I'm looking for something. I feel like that's just being a little bit. I feel like that's being overly nitpicky because that's a topic that nobody's ever really discussed. And I feel like the overtime strategy is never really like clear cut. Now I remember one time didn't Belichick. Before the rules, this is before the real rule change and in the regular season, Belichick opted to kick the ball. It's like, who the hell is going to kick the ball with those rules?
More though, because the rule changed this year. And then another thing, the coach, J-Bo's boy, didn't know the rules basically.
Who's J-Bo's boy? Kyle Shanahan?
Man,
What? Hey, I wish Jay was here right now. I'll be flaming them up.
so Shanahan says he knew the rules, but the players were saying that they weren't informed of the overtime rules. And then Shanahan was saying that he was playing to get the third possession, but that didn't make any sense because it was only basically guaranteed 2 possessions. So
two things. Go ahead, my bad.
So either way, the team that deferred would have an advantage over the team that went ahead and took the first possession. It was an advantage of deferring the ball.
So hold on. So they took the ball, right? So I'm gonna tell you how I looked at that. So all right. So from what the 49ers were saying, they didn't know the rules. However, the only rules, I think they were referring to the fact that the Super Bowl overtime just keeps going, even if time expires. I remember Romo explained it when the time was going down. It was like 9 seconds. Don't freak out, people. The game won't be over. They do an extra quarter, because they're still going to have their chance to score. That's the part I thought the 49ers players were unaware of.
No, so the way it worked, they thought that if whoever had the ball first, even if they would have went down and scored a touchdown,
right? The other
City still would have had a ball,
right? They still get a chance. That happened after the Chiefs and the Bills game. The 13-second field goal influenced that. Yeah. Well, that game did.
They still would have had a chance, right? But regardless, if the first team kicked the field goal, the other team all they do was go down and score a touchdown. Exactly like what happened.
Exactly. So
way more pressure on you as the first team. The second team, regardless, you got to score anyway.
but that's the thing. All right. So you said, the key word you said was way more pressure. However, I've always felt like the team getting the ball second always had the most pressure in that regard.
The team that get the ball first, you have to score. You have to score. So if you don't, score,
I always feel like answering, like having to answer what the first team did, that I feel like you're under more pressure in that regards. And with the Super Bowl game specifically, Kyle Shanahan felt like he would have been under more pressure had he gotten the ball second and had to answer what the Chiefs had going on. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, just think, you got the ball, it's fourth down. It's like, oh, snap. If we don't convert this fourth down, we lose the game. We lose the Super Bowl. However, when you're the first team to go, it's like, all right, cool. It's fourth down. We can kick a field goal and count on our defense. Or say you're in field goal range. It's like, all right, we kick the field goal. Let's hold them to this field goal. We don't have to have that. We don't have to make that decision to go on fourth down. You know what I mean? My quarterback doesn't have to have the pressure of converting a fourth down, and if we don't get it, that's the game. Now I feel like that was Kyle Shanahan's mindset, because that's always been my mindset of overtime. If I was the coach, I would always want the ball first, even with those rules. Even in college football, I'd want the ball first.
I don't know, man. I feel like
just to relieve that pressure, bro. That's a lot of. First. Like, but that's so subjective, though. You know, it just all depends on how you feel about it. You know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And maybe the quarterback and the coaches, their feeling on it is totally different. You know, maybe Brock Purdy would be fine getting the ball second, and maybe Kyle Shanahan just didn't have the confidence to get the ball second, or he didn't have a good because they say it's four down territory when you get the ball second and you try to answer, because you don't have a choice but to try to convert for that first down.
And so with that being said, one of the big things they were talking about were the players didn't practice really for overtime situations. They didn't have an overtime game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you ask the Chiefs players, Andy Reid had already developed a list of what they would do if the game went into overtime.
All right, so question on that for you. So I spoke to Jay a little bit about that earlier, and he mentioned that Brock Purdy was outclassed and outplayed or whatever, which I thought Brock Purdy played really good. But I said the big part was Kyle Shanahan got outcoached and outclassed. Like, honestly, like, all jokes aside, I really thought that was it going in. And just what you just said, the 49ers didn't practice or work on an overtime situation. But however, the Chiefs, you look at Andy Reid compared to Shanahan, that's so many more years of experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been there before and won it. So he's thinking even more layers into the Super Bowl game. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to check off every list. He's going to know more more boxes to check off, and he's going to be more aware of more boxes they can leave alone, or just, not have to worry so much about.
I think the biggest thing that you saw from those two teams, those situations, were poise. So even when San Francisco had that 10-point lead, like, I honestly still thought Kansas City was going to come back and win.
Oh, yeah, that's still a ball game.
Man, so in Kansas City played as if they were going to win the game. There was some kind of weird stat. Every Super Bowl that Patrick Mahomes has won,
he was down double digits.
Each one.
Yep.
They're always so poised, and they look confident in their play. They don't ever look like disrupted, except for when Travis Kelce tried to tackle Andy Reid. But that's the only time that they ever look flustered in that whole game. Even when San Francisco was winning, they looked like they were just grasping to try to hold on to that lead. They looked nervous with a lead. And so I think that's the difference in looking at the poise, and that comes from their coach, and not to say
It comes from the top. It comes from the coach, right to Mahomes. I mean,
yeah. So what's the two differences? Like Shanahan and Andy Reid, and nothing against Shanahan because he's a brilliant offensive mind, but man, in the back of his mind, he's got to be thinking, man, this happened. This done happened to me 2 times before. Man.
All right, the pressure, and then the more pressure was on him too. Not to say he did a great job. They did a great job with the that San Francisco offense against the Kansas City defense. And shout out to Christian McCaffrey, man. They would have won that game. I think he would have gotten MVP.
He would have, man, but I would say this about Christian McCaffrey. That fumble.
Oh, yeah, he fumbled it too.
That fumble really. So if he wouldn't have fumbled that ball, that could have changed the whole energy in that game because their offense was clicking.
Mm-hmm. And that was a red zone fumble too, right?
Yeah, and Brock Purdy was clicking. He was looking crisp. And then that fumble just changed that whole trajectory of the game. So, I mean, if you even look at it, the score being 17 to 3, whereas it's 10-3, that takes the whole life away from the Kansas City Chiefs.
That takes the whole game plan, a lot of stuff changes in that aspect.
100%. So shout out to Christian McCaffrey, who's had an amazing season, but that fumble really was one of the keys of them losing that game. So
that was big time. Yeah. Kels, I mean, just watching Kels, I remember he had that play where he caught it in the middle of the field. It was probably a slant drag route. It was running up the sideline, ran over the safety. He wanted to run him over and keep going. I thought that's what's going to happen, but he went out of bounds. It's just every time KC got the ball, you knew they were going to – it's somewhere in here we just knew they were going to make it happen. I remember the 4th and 1 play where they called up the Patrick Mahomes run. I just thought that was just such a brilliant play call.
So he had 3 runs that were huge in the game, 3 big time runs. And the difference with Patrick Mahomes is he's not always looking to run, but if you look at throughout the season, whenever he's made a run, it's big time runs. They're big time games,
right?
And the opportunities to actually change the game,
right? They're like gut punching runs,
He's just a great all around quarterback.
So, I mean, we can go on about Mahomes all day for real. What else we got here for the game? Crap, I had a question for you. I forgot what the question was. But I didn't even check out the – all right, so I was in the airport, guys. I was coming back from a competition. I didn't win. I did all right. But I was in the airport, and I was actually boarding the plane at a certain time. Of course I was. But I didn't catch the halftime show. What did you think? What did you think? Was the halftime show all right? Was it good? It was good?
Thing, man.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, since Jay-Z's taken over halftime, it's always entertaining every year.
Mm-hmm.
Luda, Lil Jon, Alicia Keys.
They were on there. Yeah. Okay, I saw a pic of Ludacris, but that's dope. He was on there. Now I saw it's the Super Bowl in New Orleans next year. Saw Lil Wayne wants to perform on that one. I'm like, yes, let that happen. Just let that ride. Okay. So
it was a good performance.
Okay, that's cool. So the big game happened. Chiefs won. This is the first back-to-back Super Bowl win since the Patriots in 03-04.
Yeah.
They beat St. Louis, then they beat the Panthers. Dang. Hey, we just got to keep pounding, man. Keep pounding.
Leads back to Carolina losing somehow.
So, all right. So going forward for both teams, I had the questions right here. So, what's the Chiefs' next move with their roster and their pay? So one thing is, I still feel like they need to find another good receiver, but I'm not sure how far, how deep they're looking to go into the checkbook to do that.
Man,
Or you don't even think they're going to sign? I don't think they're going to sign any big free agents because they don't have to.
Their defense, man, they got to pay their defense. So I think what they're going to spend their money right now, which is smart, is they're going to pay their defense. Because right now, if you're looking at it like,
how much are they paying McDuffie?
I don't know, but I think those dudes, a lot of those dudes, earned some money yesterday.
Oh yeah. So McDuffie's on a 4-year, $13 million contract with the Chiefs. They had a $7 million signing bonus. Okay.
So you got
the average of what's that?
Coming up too, though, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure exactly who. I'm gonna have to look into it, but I don't know, man. They develop so well. I just don't see them really bringing anybody in unless there's a spot like they really have to patch up. But I don't know what they have to patch up. The whole team is solid.
Yeah, I mean, another receiver.
I think they'll just. But from the looks of it, man, I can just see them just drafting a guy mid-round, working on him, developing him, and just making that happen. But a lot of that is, what are we expecting from Travis Kelce? I know there was some saying that, he looked old this season, and whatnot. But then in the postseason, he's the best receiver on the field. Like, bro, what?
Just busy this season, man.
Mm-hmm.
He got his endorsement deals, man. He hanging out with Taylor Swift. Man, that dude, he's still, and I can't even talk trash when he still got on the field and handled his work when he got to. So you can't really say anything because that dude is handling business. So what are we gonna say?
Right.
I mean, he's playing next year. I mean, regardless, even if he loses a step, he's still a top 10 tight end. So they need another target with some sure hands. These guys are going to develop, honestly, after a year playing with Patrick, another good offseason, another mini camps, and let those guys continue to grow and get used to it.
And another big thing, so there's the development side and the familiarity. I mean, look who caught the game-winning touchdown pass, Mecole Hardman. Yeah. That guy's been there for a good second. So it's really exciting to see. Damn, I was about to say something. I forgot what it was. But yeah, so, I mean, they weren't super high-octane offense, but they were really efficient and versatile offense this year with an elite defense. And with that being said, with how versatile their offense is, that means they're going to be really good situationally. It's like, all right, they're good enough to play into the fourth quarter till it's a game. Then it's like, all right, situationally, they got Mahomes and they got Andy Reid who's going to make the right play calls on the right drives to make it happen. So it's literally like with those aspects, you can never, ever count that mess out for sure.
Man, I just think about how much pressure that applies to the other team throughout the game to actually have to try to put them away. So they have to have at least a 2-touchdown lead going into the fourth quarter to feel like, okay, we can breathe a little bit. But if it's a 10-point lead or less, man, there's that evaporates like nothing. Look at what they did to Baltimore. Look at what they did. Well, they dismantled Miami.
Yeah, they bullied them.
Yeah, and then even in Buffalo, man, those teams could not even distance themselves enough to even feel comfortable with any lead that they had. So in the playoffs, and honestly, as long as Kansas City can get to the playoffs, and that's all they care about, then
that's it.
they're going to be favored in almost any matchup they got.
All right, I feel like this. They had some underdog games. The Ravens and the this game, the Super Bowl, which I was surprised they were actually the underdogs going into the Super Bowl.
In the Bills game too.
Oh, I forgot they. Hey, look, I forgot they played the Bills. So I feel like this. I think this game that they had is just a stamp for going forward in postseason games that Vegas is not going to have them as an underdog anymore. Like this, they just not going to have them as an underdog anymore. Even though you look at the Bills game, look, they're in the Bills Mafia. Josh Allen and the Bills were super hot going into that game that week. You look at the Ravens. I mean, we were hyping up the Ravens, talking about them all year. And you look at the Niners, their roster and whatnot. That's the one game I thought the Chiefs should have been the favorites, other than the Bills and the Ravens game. But anyways, like I said, going forward, that stamp is there. Vegas is going to have the Chiefs as the favorites in these games.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see they learn their lesson. Because, honestly, after they lost on Christmas Day to the Raiders the way that they did, it was like, okay. All right, because we had a conversation. It was like, yeah, man, they're still the Chiefs, but, man, they don't look like the same old Chiefs. But then I think we were going back and forth like, man, we don't need to worry about them because they got Patrick Mahomes. And then people burying Pat. It's like, okay, here we go again.
He shows up when it's time. And another thing about the Super Bowl, it literally had an extra quarter, so that was awesome too. I felt like, you know what I'm saying? It literally had an entire extra quarter, so I feel like we can definitely appreciate that. That made it more thrilling. Just giving us that much more football
against two great teams. I mean, there were two great teams, and 49ers lost, but they showed that they belonged in the
Super Bowl. Let's give the Niners some love in that game.
Yeah, they were great, man. And then people want to go ahead and bash Brock Purdy. I mean,
he played a good game, man.
He played a good game, and he's a second-year quarterback who has already led your team to overtime in the Super Bowl
against Pat Mahomes,
against one of the top quarterbacks of all time, and he held his own. I mean, he didn't play spectacular, but he definitely played well, and that loss isn't on him. So hopefully he can keep developing and bring his team back. Like, all right, Brock.
And then you look in that position. How many guys in the league would you want to have in that position in that game over Brock Purdy? I mean, like maybe somebody with a bigger arm, maybe somebody say Josh Allen, but he protects the ball more than Josh Allen. So, is that what you want?
He kept them in a position to win the game. And if Kyle Shanahan, I feel like Kyle Shanahan did not do a good job of putting him in a position to win the game. Some of the play calls, like they stopped running the ball in the second half too. So like Christian McCaffrey was cooking in the first half. Debo got injured, so that affected the game. But if we didn't talk about the injuries, like 49ers had a couple of injuries where guys went out.
Oh, how about my uncle was tripping on this one when George Kittle went out to get his shoulder looked at, and then Elijah Mitchell had a 8-yard run for a first down. Got called back because the backup tight end, I think his last name was Willis or something, got called for a holding penalty in a position where George Kittle would have been there. I mean, who's to say George Kittle wouldn't have hold or if he would have gotten a block, but you would have had your superstar tight end there except other than a backup tight end. So injuries played a little part. Now, one thing I liked a lot about this game, the refs stayed out of it a good bit, or the play was clean enough to where the refs didn't have to make a hard decision on a penalty call.
Well, there were two disciplined teams playing too. So Kansas City, they don't get a lot of penalties, especially going down the stretch this year. And then San Francisco is a very disciplined team, so it was a clean game. It was an easy game to watch. The flow of the game was good. Um, you got to see defense make plays, offense look good. It was a good Super Bowl.
Now, and another thing, so you talked about Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator.
Mm.
It's like, bro, how the heck did the Chiefs end up with him as the defensive coordinator? Him making the calls. Huh? Yeah, I know.
The head coach.
So what was it? The Chiefs were in a tough position when the 49ers kicked their last field goal of regulation. They would have got the first down. They would have been able to run the clock out a lot, then kick the field goal. But they stopped them on the third, and it was like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and that was big time. And you look at that. Now, Andy Reid doesn't really meddle. He doesn't have to meddle in what he does. Now, on the other side, Steve Wilkes had a certain coverage. I'm not sure what it was, but he had 5 guys back. The middle wasn't so much cleared up. And Shanahan called a timeout and needed him to pick another play on that side. Now, and the Chiefs still advanced. The Chiefs still did what they did, Now, what do you feel about that? Do you feel like that goes back to show the pressure that was on Shanahan? Should he? We don't know what would have happened, but do you think he should have just let that play run, or he did his job by,
I can't question that play per se, but just looking back in the fourth quarter, how it was such a pass heavy mix. It wasn't enough short passes. There were no running plays, and they were playing like they were already like trying to catch up. Even when they got the lead back, it just seemed like they were just chasing the buck, trying to make sure they weren't going to lose that game, grasping for straws when they should have had at least some confidence or swagger. They had already lost. Honestly, because if on the other side of the field, Pat Mahomes and Kansas City already knew that once they got the ball back, they would win the game.
Damn. That's big time. All right. So for the 49ers, what's their next move going forward, a roster and pay and whatnot? You feel like some of the teams going to kind of fall apart a little bit and retaining some guys?
They're not going to.
Look, don't they have to pay McCaffrey next year?
I don't know.
Or he's already on that contract, but I feel like they've held it off until this year or the following season.
I don't know if they're going to have to pay McCaffrey. I don't know what they're going to do because they already paid Debo. McCaffrey end up getting his money either way, regardless.
Right. He's still going to get that money. But I'm saying they stretched it out and then,
He'll probably take a hometown discount too.
I don't think so. Not at the running back position.
Man, he already got paid the largest contract for a running back ever before.
Right. But
how old is McCaffrey?
McCaffrey's like 27. Well, he should be turning 28 this year.
See, that he's getting to be that's like 45 in running back years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So McCaffrey's not going to get another big contract. So he's going to take, this contract was his big career contract. Yeah. He's going to take. So let's look. I'm looking right here.
They're not going to pay him. They're going to pay him crazy.
Yeah. So it actually starts this following year. So last year he got 690. He got 1.7 with the Panthers. No, I'm sorry. 690,000 from the Niners in 2022. This year he got $1,080,000. So next year it's $11,800,000 on the salary cap, and then the following year is $12 million.
Yeah, so he's good. He's locked up. They can't even pay Brock Purdy. They can't re-up his contract. He's like number 58 highest paid quarterback in the league.
That's nuts.
So I mean, homeboy got a roommate started in the Super Bowl. So I mean, that's gonna free up some money for them. Um, my boy Chase Young, who actually had a really good game yesterday, um, to help kind of fix his image. He is up. He's a free agent. So we'll see what happens with him because he actually probably earned himself some money by having a good Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
After people were ready to throw dirt on him, hopefully he can continue to have a resurgence in the league and keep himself healthy. But other than that, man, I mean, they just got to stay healthy and make sure Coach Shanahan doesn't make any stupid play calls in games, in big games. I mean, I don't even want to bash him because he's such a good coach. He's such a good coach.
He just got outdid by the Chiefs twice. You know, there was a bunch of good NBA teams in the 90s.
Yeah.
And LeBron was great. However, he just, you're going against the Warriors, Curry and Steve Kerr back in the day. Those teams, Malone and them was going against Jordan, Pippen, and Phil Jackson, They're just better.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. The Niners definitely could be back next year. Like we talked about the teams from the NFC. We'll see. And NFC look pretty weak this year too.
Next year, yeah.
Coming down the stretch, they look weak.
Going into next year, it's like we're looking at the Packers as a powerhouse, predicting them to be a powerhouse next year.
We'll see if Detroit is consistent.
Yeah.
Who else?
And the Eagles are on the fringe. We don't know. We really don't. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, we don't even know. Is it Cowboys? Going to talk about Cowboys?
Cowboys going to do the same. It's going to be the same story for the Cowboys. That this year, like it took them getting busted like that in the first round for me to just throw out all hope, or not even hope, but just whatever faith I thought the Cowboys could really do something. That took it out. No more. There's no more.
What are you going to do with Dak? Dak is up for a contract. I mean, he could be the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Gosh, that don't even make sense. He's good, but no, not highest paid quarterback in the league. Good.
But then what does Dallas do? Like what do you do? What do you kind of move are you gonna make? Or does Dak say he doesn't want to go back and play in Dallas because he's tired of dealing with that? But I don't know.
In a tough spot.
We'll see. But their team, but the NFC, again, is still situated for the 49ers to actually win their conference again.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right. Okay. The Super Bowl talk.